Hero of the Week, Medal of Honor recipient, Dennis M. Fujii. And I'm gonna do a little different here. I'm not gonna go through the citation, but I'm gonna read an article about Dennis M. Fujii. So he just got his Medal of Honor from President Biden recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just says there was never any doubt about the courage and the heroism that Specialist 5 Dennis M. Fujii demonstrated those 51 years ago. So this is for something he did 51 years ago. The Hawaiian-born veteran was awarded Distinguished Service Cross for his actions in treating and defending a small force of South Vietnamese allies during a fierce battle just across the border of Laos over a period of 5 days, from February 18th to February 22nd, 1971. So remember that. It was 5 days. This was a 5-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did there deserved more than a Distinguished Service Cross. That was rectified last week when he and 3 other Vietnam War veterans were awarded the Medal of Honor by President Biden at the White House. What Fujii did over those several days is a true example of courage beyond a call of duty. The chaos of war threw him into responsibilities that were outside of his normal mission, and he had to adapt to a situation on the fly. You see, Fujii's regular MOS with the 237th Medical Detachment, 61st Medical Battalion, 67th Medical Group, was as a crew chief on one of their medevac helicopters. On the 18th of February, 1971, his helicopter and crew were on a mission to evacuate seriously wounded Allied South Vietnamese military personnel from a fierce battle across the border in Laos. When they got over the battlefield, they started receiving intense fire from the enemy forces attacking a small South Vietnamese unit. His helicopter was shot down as it approached the landing area. He and the pilot and co-pilot were wounded. A second medevac helicopter was able to land and take on the 2 pilots, but Fujii tried to get on. But as Fujii tried to get on, the enemy laid down a massive volley of fire at him in the helicopter. He waved off the helicopter to save the lives of his pilots and those on that helicopter. Several other attempts were made to get him, but the enemy fire was both too intense and too accurate, and they were unable to get Fujii. He got a radio and told them that the place was too hot for any further attempts. Fujii remained with the South Vietnamese unit, so they call him the RVN, right, as the only American for the next 3 days. He was now in the war in a way he had never imagined. He continued to care for the wounded as the enemy continued its attacks on a small RVN unit. The following day, the enemy, now a reinforced regiment in size, made a determined effort to overwhelm the unit that Fujii was with. The attack was supported by artillery. Fujii got a hold of a radio again and started calling for helicopter gunship aerial support. For the next 17 hours, though wounded and now on the edge of collapse from exhaustion, Fujii exposed himself over and over again to observe enemy positions and to direct the supporting fire from the helicopter gunships. On several occasions, he had to drop the hand mic of the radio in mid-communication in order to lay down suppressing fire at the enemy with his own rifle. He continued to help the wounded and defend their position against the fierce assaults of the enemy. By this time, he was beyond fatigued. On the 20th of February, a helicopter was finally able to get in under heavy fire and pick him up. But it too was hit by fire and was forced to make a crash landing at another South Vietnamese Ranger base about 4 kilometers away. He would remain there until the 22nd before being medevac himself to the rear for medical care. And oh yeah, there's one piece of information that is important here as well. When all of this happened, Specialist 5 Fujii, he was 19 years old. So when all this happened to Specialist 5 Fujii, he was 19 years old, right? So a young man, right? So, I mean, we got it right at the end, and we gave him a Medal of Honor now. 51 years later, he's 74 years old now, right? Specialist 5, Dennis M. Fujii, aka Papa Whiskey. I wonder how he got the the little call sign, how he got the name Papa Whiskey. So I watched him, talk about this, and I was listening to him talk. Real cool dude, real humble dude. He said he was hopeless, right? You know, because we talk a lot about the reason why I want to talk about this, because we talk a lot about our heroes of the day, and we talk about the kind of people they were, and you know, them like stepping up and like being like giants in these moments. So I'm gonna talk about how he felt. He said he was hopeless. He said he was begging the Lord to save him, right?
Mm.
You know, these things we don't think about when we think about the heroes, man. You know what I mean? He said like he pretty much said like God, you know, because he's religious. Well, you know, his religion or his God that he believes in, he pretty much said that if it wasn't for God, he would not be here right now. So I'm sure he was talking to, you know, God every day, praying and doing whatever it is that he wanted to do, that he felt he needed to do, right? And that makes him, one last fact is that makes him one of only 21 people from Hawaii to receive the Medal of Honor.
Yeah, that was big time, man. And I tell you this, man, he was put in a unique, like a lot of the Medal of Honor recipients we talk about. They was in gunfires and they running through this and running through that and doing this and doing that, or laying a life. And he was in some circumstances also that he probably didn't even have a choice. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like he's helping people. He's trying to get on the radio. He's tired. He just, like he said, man, he's helpless. He's just trying to live, man. Trying to survive, man. So long overdue. Long overdue. Glad he got what he deserved. And another big time, hero of the week, man.
yeah.
Uh,
He
for
also
medical,
wasn't
man.
around Americans, bro. He wasn't
Yeah, that.
around Americans. He was the
Yeah,
only American in, you know,
even crazier,
in
right?
the unit. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So he kind of got like that's like behind enemy lines type,
Mm-hmm.
thing. Now you with the ally, but you
Yeah,
still the only
ain't the yeah,
none of
ain't the
your
same though.
none of your like your cohorts, none of your comrades are like with you at the
Yeah,
time.